on. So the science of getting rich is, with him, is the same, almost like spiritual mind treatment. You make a decision. What is it that I want to experience? What feelings are behind it? Visualize it. Not just visualize like, oh, I see, He's talking visualize. Like actually get in there and feel it. No, what's that? Emotion. Put the emotion behind it. And then it's like he says, and many times through the book, just try believing it. Just believe it. And what's really nice is I could even hear myself going, I'm not going to just believe it because you told me. I read the, but we're all in grown-up clothes right now. We'll know if it's not right for us. He's like saying, try, because you're step-oriented, because of the human race loves steps. And it's just try it. And not try it like, oh, I had a really positive thought. Yeah. Yeah, that didn't work. Wow. Wattles. Try it maybe a couple times. See if maybe it'll stick. So anyway, yeah, I love his little humor. Actually, I don't think he really meant to be funny. No. I think he meant to be very serious, like get over it and let's get on with this. No, because what he said... You leave Wattles alone. You leave him alone. Don't judge a book by its cover. I know. Let me tell you a little marketing thing. So Rita's putting together the flyer because I like marketing and she likes flyer. She said, she called me, I'm down at the office, and she said, take a snapshot of yourself, selfie. And I said, she goes, I'm doing the flyer. This isn't going to fly. She goes, get your picture in there. So I've got next to him like, that was my dad. So I've got his book up there like this, going like that, and then we got his picture next to it. She goes, we got it, and they're not coming. They're not coming for no, because he looks like an undertaker, and it's the truth. I'm sorry, Wattles. So anyway, then he's got the science of getting rich, which is really identical to our and if you have to use the restroom at all, because we're laughing so hard, just go ahead and go ahead and jump it, because I think we're just going to go through, and if you want one, I can stop right now but I think we can go through and just jump up, and if everybody's the same time, then I'll stop. Okay, now the science of being great. When you hear that, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? I am curious about that. I don't have an answer. When you hear it's the science, well, you get the science of being rich, right? Then someone says the science of being great. What would that mean?
The thing that came to my mind was just fully being myself.
Yeah. Or what he would call the authentic. Truly being who you are.
I would say the highest version of yourself, living your full potential.
Exactly. I know, I was thinking the same thing.
I think of when you say science, I think like experimentation or different like hypotheses and different constants and things of that nature. So like he really put a lot of action and research into the science, or looking into the science of being great.
Right. Exactly, Charles. Thank you. What he's really saying too is I spent my whole life trying to understand why the heck I was poor. Why I had a Charlie Brown Christmas tree and a little thing with $1 in it. He wanted to know that. And how daring to do it all through poverty. So that he could design a book or pamphlet, whichever one came first, and design that so that we didn't have to reinvent the wheel. But sometimes we don't do that because he's still talking about 100 years later. So humans can develop any power, which is, and that's exactly what Malia and everyone was talking about, can develop any power which is or has been shown by any person anywhere. His big thing, nothing that is possible in spirit is impossible in flesh and blood. Nothing that humans can think is impossible in action. And he says, and this goes against some of the beliefs of religion, there is not a person alive, even Ernest Holmes, who I absolutely love that man. Ernest Holmes even says, there hasn't been a great way shower since Jesus, whenever he wrote in the text. But he doesn't believe that. He just means that we're tapping it. That person decided to tap it, to discover it, or as Charles is saying, experiment with it. Or the hypothesis is what? We start with the hypothesis that everything is perfect. Does that make sense? Instead of the other way, which you start with, how do I prove that everything is perfect? In this philosophy, we start with the established premise that there's only one source, one thing happening, and I will work from that into my life. Make sense? No greater good can come to any man or woman. Look at him, ahead of his time. I love that. Or woman than to become self-active. All the experiences of life are designed by providence to force men and women into self-activity, to compel us to cease being creatures of circumstances and master our environment. Go Wattles, it's your birthday. Here's the thing that I know about that. And master the environment. What I'm hearing here is that he's saying that it takes activity, self-activity, in order to, because we can tell you and you can be inspired that you have the power within you, but until you claim the power within you, it's absolutely yes.
Can self-activity also be known as discipline?
Yeah, absolutely. It can be whatever you decide when you think of self-activity. But I think the word is self, not going out and doing. What do I need to do? If you've ever been in this position, as a minister especially, you get a lot of, what do I need to do? Okay, what do I need to do? Just tell me what to do, and I'll do it, if that means. And what he's saying is, yeah, there are some steps, but really, it starts with belief. And belief in whatever it is that you want, and then move your feet, or what we call, what's that? And follow it. And follow it, yes.
When I hear the term discipline, I think that it's onerous, and it's difficult, and it's challenging, and you gotta do it. Versus what I believe Wattles is saying, that you have to come from gratitude and joy.
Right, absolutely. But I want to also make a point of what Judah says. Discipline, when I hear it, makes me feel focused. Makes me feel, disciple. So what I'm hearing with that is, and both are right. That's the great thing about it, about allowing. That's what we talked about in mental equivalent, right? Words, 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 words. And we hear certain words, and they do, and that's what you hear. So for Judah needs to know that there's an allowing, a place of goodness. And that's what I believe as well. Other people that I know can barely do this unless they feel like, okay, I'm going to discipline myself to do this, which does sometimes have that okay, it's going to be really difficult, and I'm going to do this, right? So my point being is that we're all unique on our journeys. And there's certain times, and we hear it all. We hear what works and what doesn't work. I don't like that word, or I don't like that. But I love the idea that we're finally allowing. And in reality, Wattles, who knows what he really meant? Who knows what he really meant? The awakening of the principle of power in a human being is the real conversion, the passing from death to life. I love this. It is when the dead hear the voice of the Son of Man and come forth and live. It is the resurrection and the life. When it is awakened, that human beings become a child of the highest, and all power is given to the person in heaven and on earth. Translated, because it's a little, that's part of why he probably wrote 3 books on Jesus. This whole idea, if you break it down, it's the awakening. And I've actually, back to Judah's thing, and I think awakening doesn't have to be that, pull the covers off of you, and it can be a gentle allowing. But for me, I have to remember that with my gentle allowing too, that I don't fall asleep. Because sometimes I do. I get complacent. Look, is that air on? It is? Okay. Anything, Rita, were you saying something you were reading? What is the one about giant that you were talking to? Oh.
Where's the practitioner pamphlets in there? Well, basically that there's a sleeping giant within us, that's the God within us that needs to be awakened. Yeah, that was an Ernest Holmes quote.
And that's what I think he uses the word awake throughout his thing too, that we have this principle, this power, and anybody else have a thought on that? Just, yeah.
I just want to say self-active to me means that I'm really getting to know myself. I'm getting to know what I'm capable of. I'm tuning into my power. Self-active, that's how I get active. I sit in my I read, I sit in my meditations, I sit in my visualizations. I'm self-active. I'm tuning into myself and then taking that out into my world. But it's like a laboratory that you go into. And the discipline part of it is what he was talking about, being able to do it when it's not happening. Because, and I'm reading Becoming Supernatural now by Joe Dispenza, and yes, I know. But and he's saying he's saying the same thing, because he's saying that you're never going to get. Okay, he's saying the same exact thing. You have to believe it before it happens. He says it all the time. You have to be grateful. You have to live in gratitude. That's what brings your good to. He's saying the same. So I was sitting there this morning, and I'm going, this is crazy. We're all sitting here hearing the same thing over and over and over. And I'm like, okay, guys, I don't know.
Well, there is a point to make that right, that they're saying this, and we know this, and yet there's still discovery that we have to still discover. Yeah. Yes.
I think that there's comfort in the fact that we do this again and again. It's reassuring. It's loving ourselves.
You were so right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, once again, it is about repetition, right? A little bit, saying it enough that, and just for our two people that are here, I'm going to have to tell you that Joe Dispenza's, she uses him a lot on Sundays. And so it's like, by the way, I have another quote by Joe. And so now there's the running joke that there's the three of us now. That it's Rita, Joe, and Patrick. That's all right, but actually she's kind of getting me over to Joe too. He's pretty powerful. Oh, speaking of which, that's the space between. It irritates some people, and I'm still learning, but there is a space that we are just to the no thing. The no, he takes you to where you can finally, where you're not all the stuff. Ernest Holmes uses the words, this is the stuff. So, no human ever had more spiritual or mental power than you and I can attain, or that I can attain, or did greater things than you and I can accomplish. We can become what each of us desire to be. And I think that's he really loved the teachings of Jesus, the pure teachings. And that's what he was saying, the pure teachings. But what that tells us is that there is nothing that anyone has ever done that doesn't live within inside of ourselves, that we could have that as well. How does that feel when you hear that? But, not a but, and yet, it's interesting that it does feel good, but there feels like a lot of sometimes responsibility around that. And that's what he was talking to. Jesus or any of the great, they're going out there and they're putting themselves on the line, right? And I would have to say gratitude. It's been brought up here a couple times now. Gratitude is the key to, and that's what Wattles says too. The gratitude will open up. And if you have a doubt, Joe said that too. If you have a doubt in anything, and you can't find a feeling that activates it, or what's it?
Talks about elevating your emotion, right? And if you can't think of, there's something you want to manifest or a vision for the future that you have, and you need to get to the emotion of what that is and feel it. If you can't come to that, he said, just do gratitude, because gratitude brings everything into your life. It's gratitude. That's the supreme emotion, the supreme thing.
Right. And gratitude is also what? It's already done. That's why we use it in spiritual mind treatment, the fourth step. Thank you. Not thank you for a whole bunch of hours. Thank you for this demonstration. Wow. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, look at me. I'm below 250 right now, and I haven't been below 250 in a while. I jumped on the scale today. I was 248. So how do I get to 188, which is my dream weight? 1 pound at a time. So hold me accountable, young man.
I will, especially since you called me young man. I will be more than glad to. But here what it is. Do you see, the minute that you see 248, it activated, right? There was like, well, if I do 248, you watch me at 245. And then he's going 245, 240. And that's what happens. You elevate the excitement. I just actually wrote a blog about that today. I said, there is nothing that ever stimulates you by condemning yourself. I don't know about you, but losing weight, you want to put that out there for me to say, oh, I can't believe I gained this weight. Why did I gain this weight? Leads you right to a Krispy Kreme that you have, that leads, no, not even a Krispy Kreme. It leads you to the entire box. Because what you're saying is, what's the use anyway? It's like I tried, you see what I mean? But the moment you say, stand up and go, I want to own something right now. 2 pounds. And his chest was up and he's walking, you know what I mean? Instead of saying, I'll do all that when I'm at 188. Wow. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And congratulations, by the way. There we go. I'm done being great. How about you? Good. Good. Okay. The Science of Being Well, and this has about 32 covers. I mean, that I've seen. So, it is the principle of health, and this will be the interesting one for him. It is the principle of health in man which really works all healing, no matter what system or remedy is employed, and this principle of health is brought into constructive activity by thinking in a certain way. So what he's basically saying is what you just did. You're taking it right where you are and seeing and believing it to its desired outcome. The one thing about this chapter, this book, that I didn't really like was some of his viewpoints on eating. Because I was in a sea of denial anyway. But the reason I have a little trouble with him in this one is because, is never eat when you are not hungry. Oh no. Wait a minute. Eat when you have deserved hunger. Now, he's a real stickler for this, but I mean, and you can tell by his picture, pretty overweight. But I had to read that particular book twice because it's the only time that I felt he was a little judgmental. And that's okay. I mean, he's Wattles. Do you imagine how many people they said about his name growing up? He probably was very defensive. But, oh yeah, he said, breakfast, you don't deserve breakfast. If you're going to talk about the man, you got to tell the truth about everything. He goes, what have you been doing? You've been sleeping. Tough. I was like, well,
Fasting for 12 hours.
Which is one of his pamphlets. So I was more interested in how I reacted to this as well, because mine was like, food is sometimes entertaining. Hello. Go out to eat and enjoy that. But did you run before you went? I mean, he has that, you must be hungry, which I know that what he's trying to say, but I look at Rita going, I'm in trouble, because, I'm not following of being well. But he does really go into that, and he also goes into some of the pollutants and the things of, organic. He goes into a lot of, I think if it was up to him, it would just be, just eat the vegetables and that would be that's all you get. But so what does he know? What does he know anyway? He's never been to the Hukilau. Monaco's. He's never been to New York and had a deli sandwich. Because I was walking all over New York, so I deserved my hunger. Yes. Oh, Wallace! Wow! And did you see how receptive we were to his books? And now I said you can't have breakfast. Now everybody's throwing stuff at him. Yeah. Yes. So you getting well, and I love this, so he does have other things besides not eating breakfast. You getting well does not depend upon the adoption of some system or the finding of some remedy. It does not depend upon climate. Some people are well and others are sick in all climates. Hello. Your getting well depends upon your beginning to think and act in a certain way. He goes back to that. Yes, exactly. Right, Ruth? Goes right back to that. People who have experienced incredible things in this room that I know that you've experienced.
I keep reading that phrase in a certain way. I keep reading his thing about acting in a certain way, and it just struck me that the word certain also refers to positivity and confidence.
He's certain way. So he is certain of this. Nice, Judah. Yeah. So, everybody's going, boom, light bulb, boom, boom. But he still ain't going to let you have breakfast. I don't care how much. To be well is not enough that you should merely think in a certain way. You must apply it. So he goes back to this, right? He goes back to, and this fits right in today's time as well, right? You must apply the thought to yourself and must express and externalize it in your outward life by acting in the same way that you think. Oh, in the same way that you think. How many times have we thought a certain way, and then behave the complete opposite? Right? Right. So you're sitting there going, oh, yeah, I really believe that this is the way. And then you go out and you do the opposite. Thank you, okay, we can skip the next one. Thank you. Man's first step must be to learn how to think perfect health. And his second step, to learn how to eat, drink, breathe. He's got a whole chapter on breathing, by the way. And sleep in a perfectly healthy way. If a man takes these two steps, he will certainly become well and remain so. So really what that's telling us, I think what he's telling us in that, is that I believe, my personal belief, that if we are this power, that I could eat Krispy Kremes and not gain weight. I really do believe, if I believed it. I don't believe that. On my third Krispy Kreme, I would be going, oh, wow. And then you go home, I don't know why I'm on the Krispy Kremes. I don't even eat Krispy Kremes since I married Rita. Wait. But anyway, but there is that. But there's two steps to it, right? There's the thinking of it, and then there's the acting from it. Because he says it, we say it in this philosophy, this power creates from itself. From itself. It doesn't wait for that to be created before it can be what it is. It's the other way around, right? Okay, let's see what we got over here. I think we're coming to little Jesus. So he wrote 3, Jesus the man and his work, a new Jesus, a new Christ. All the same book, just different titles and covers. No, I'm just kidding. I think I better check it out. But anyway, he didn't have a fascination. He just meant that the pure teachings of it's done unto you as you believe, that you act from that place, and that, but he believed we had that identical power. That the only difference is that he used it. And that's the difference for anyone. You have to use it. Okay, so Tell me if people that have said we're going to read this. There is one mind, and I am that mind. That mind is eternal, and it is life. I am that mind, and I am eternal life. That mind knows no dis-ease. I am that mind, and I am health. That mind is the source of all power, and cannot know doubt nor fear. I am that mind, and I am power and peace. That mind knows only truth, and knows all truth. I am that mind, and I am knowledge and wisdom. All things created and uncreated are in that mind. I am that mind, and I am wealth and plenty. I am the way and the truth and the life. The light in me shines out to bless the world. Very beautiful. And so it is a treatment. There's a treatment. Spiritual mind treatment. He knew nothing of spiritual mind, but he knew the universal truth of claiming who you are. Really nice, yeah? I mean, wow. So let's just talk a little bit about that he did die at 51. I finally found out he actually just died. I mean, he just dropped. Yes?
I was just reading before about him, it said that he was the last 3 years of his life he was very frail.
And I just read the actual opposite, right? You know, that's what I mean. The 3 years I read he was wealthy, and that his daughter said, and he was very healthy. So, yeah, right? And then I read, and then I said there was that little war about him, about his death, because I was going, Google, save me, because I couldn't find out how he died. They said it was sudden. And then the person on there said, well, it's obvious. Have you read the chapter on the well-being of his health? He fasted, and he didn't eat breakfast, and he ate, and so they're still on it too. All their triggers got pushed too. But here's the other thing too, Melissa, is that they said that, and they left this one out, is that at night, his thing was don't eat, and then at night he ate meat, and his thing later at night, which could have done, So anyway, the big battle was between the two of them. They go, he did not, you're a liar. I mean, they got really, Wallace, Wattles did not die. But Rita, it was really funny. The first thing, remember, we talked about, she goes, well, maybe it was his diet. Because and so we're all still on that, let me eat in the...
Maybe it was just done.
Oh, speak it, sister. And guess what? It really doesn't matter. But 51 is young. I mean, maybe not in those. Yes.
You said that he was that his whole life was to be rich, and then he got rich, and he was done. He proved it.
Yeah, he was in the lab. He was in the lab all that time. And then really he became popular after he was gone, which does happen to some people, because his daughter took over and then started getting all of this published, and we're still talking about it today, and he's been gone since 1911, yes?
He was working double time. He died at 102.
Oh, wow. Here we go. Thank you. Hold on. I'm just going to transport Wattles. Wattles, take me away. Wallace, he died on February 7th in Ruskin, Tennessee, age 51. We don't care, as Rita says. He was done. That's all that really matters. And he was buried in Elwood, Indiana on the afternoon of the funeral. She reports, that's his daughter, that all the shops and businesses closed for 2 hours as a sign of respect. That is very impressive. So this is how we're going to end with this wonderful Wallace Wattles quote. It is not enough that you should have a wish to travel, see things, live more, etc. Everybody has these desires also. If you're going to send a message to a friend, you would not send the letters of the alphabet in their order and let him construct the message for himself, nor, I love that man, nor would you take words at random from the dictionary. So if let's send a letter to people, he's just, so what you would do is you would send a coherent sentence, one which meant something, When you try to impress your wants upon substance, remember that it must be done by a coherent statement. You must know what you want and be definite. Science of mind and spirit. You can never get rich or start the creative power into action by sending out unformed longings and vague desires. Yep. So I think that everybody took a little bit from somebody, a little bit from each of us. Thank you, Wallace D. Wattles. The grateful mind is constantly fixed upon the best. Therefore, it tends to become the best. It takes the form or character of the best and will receive the best. So yes. Let's give it up for Wallace. Look at this. Can't you? Well, maybe not, because I have to. Does anybody have any burning desires to say anything about what they got out of Wattles?
I did a little homework review, and two things I found that we missed tonight. One was that his original name was Walters, and he chose Wattles. And the other thing is that he was a Christian socialist.
Right. That was, yes. And he also, and his daughter still is. I mean, he carried that on. And the offices that he ran for, he was very politically involved. And but and she said the reason he didn't get elected too is because he kind of had, his idea. Well, you can kind of see he's pretty direct. He may be writing these books about, spirituality, but he really was about, let's do it and let's get it. And I don't know where they were. You would probably know more than me of that time period. But socialism, and it was everything was going really starting right then.
I'm just wondering what a Christian socialist is.
Judah knows what a Christian socialist is. I'm just a religious scientist.
From what I understand, it came partly out of the Second Great Awakening, which included the notion of perfectionism, which is that the human being can be perfected in the nature of Jesus or in the nature of God. And that perfectionism movement gave rise to abolition, and it also gave rise to prohibition.
Oh, I love having Judah in the house because he's our historian as well. So I appreciate you thanking. I mean that. Heron. Mm-hmm.
That's the one we looked up that was a socialist.
Right, he got that from him, and then that's when he started getting in all the trouble because they were that's radical, right, for that period of time. Yeah, or any period of time now. Yeah, exactly. So, what I think is the best way I'll leave you with, and then we'll pray out, is the idea that what I think for me, what I was so surprised about was this was before Ernest Holmes. And I was telling Rita, as I was reading it, I was very much like I was reading the text. I was reading all this material that we already, that we think is here by Ernest Holmes, which it is. I mean, like I said, Ernest Holmes was very smart. Took Hinduism, went around the world, took Buddhism. It doesn't really matter. He took everything that could lead us to what we're talking about right now. Lead us to that place that we know, remember who we are and the power that's within us, and to use it. I think where I believe our spiritual evolution is right now is what he was trying to say too 100 years ago, that we must step out of theory. We must, and we do. I mean, a little toe here, and we go out, and then, it's like kidding, and you kind of scare yourself a little bit, you come back. But it's not going to take another book or another this or another that when they're telling us the same thing. And so now we have to be daring, as I loved what he was saying, that you have to be daring to do this. This isn't easy stuff. Who said spirituality was so easy? He's like, no, it takes a lot of courage to say, you know what? I've been believing I was in poverty. I've been believing that out there told me what to do. I believed that for a lot of years. And now I'm saying that it's the other. I'm the master of my mind. Mastermind, right? So thank you. I'm going to pray us out tonight, and we'll just. I had a lot of fun. Who knew Wattles would be so much fun? So let's just take a moment to just bathe in this this thing called life. And I know very special in this moment that wherever Wattles is in the whole quantum leap, the quantum field, I know that Wallace is right here, right now, saying yes. I went to the lab. I went to the laboratory with the experiment, and I found out the science, and I have passed it on to you. Now use it with joy and with love and with excitement and with all the passion that life has. So what I know in this moment is that I feel incredible gratitude for the ability, the openness to receive spirit, call it whatever you want, it needs no name, as I've said many times. It is the all that is all, it's the I am that I am. And I just know that this is running through each and every one of us as we go out into our individual worlds, and yet remembering that we are always first principle. And that is the oneness of spirit itself, is where each and every one of us reside as one. So I am so grateful for everything that has transpired tonight. I know that the light bulbs have went on. And as Rita said in the beginning of this time together, that there is something happening. There is a shift that is taking place. And I know that to be the absolute truth. I know love is who and what each and every one of us is in every moment. So I deem tonight successful. I deem tonight great. I know that Wattles had his say tonight. And so with that, I just know that we go out into our world absolutely trusting every moment, every breath as the breath of life. So with that, I get out of the way. I say thank you, as together as one we affirm. And so it is. All right. So I would appreciate it as you're leaving, in honor of Wattles, that you will waddle out of the... What's that? His prosperity with his daughters, like this, and then like this. And then you walk out. Now, as I said, there's also a waddle. Now, don't get afraid. He's gonna. So here's waddle. But for really prosperity, there's the advanced. I don't know if we're there yet, but I'll show you. So there's the waddle if you're not advanced, and then the advanced waddle is this. And this is how confident I am. I just remembered we're live streaming. So this is how we rock here on the island. So give it up for Rob, who taped this tonight, and Ron, who took such good care of us tonight as well.